Systems Product Manager to the stars, James Barnes. James, how you doing?
Doing great, Patrick. Thanks for that rousing introduction.
I think you might be one of the best known product managers for the systems management products in Thwack. And at this point, you've owned pretty much all of the systems management products at some point or another.
That's right. From A to Z, I've had everything from SAM to WPM at this point. So I've probably encountered just about everyone on Thwack at this point.
Well, there have been a lot of updates as a part of 2020.2 for the systems monitoring products. So I guess the driver behind this is really, I mean, you hear us talk about hybrid IT a lot, but that really is kind of where the world is now, right?
Yeah, I mean, we know that IT pros need support and monitoring tools to adapt to this, ever-changing hybrid IT environment that everyone's always talking about, and they need to do that without missing a beat. The latest versions of our systems management solutions hopefully can help you do that.
All right. Well, we're going to start with probably a obvious favorite that I might just be slightly interested in, and that's going to be API monitoring. So this is something we introduced this before in the last release, but this is something really different. So talk to us about that.
That's right. We started last version with introduction to the API polling, and now we've expanded that, made it better, made it easier. And part of that, a very big part of that was that we introduced some new templates based upon those API pollers, strictly aimed at the cloud-related resources. So as you may remember, we have had for a long time classic SAM templates, if you will, based on the PowerShell script components that were, would allow you to get at those cloud-based resources. But folks found a lot of shortcomings in those, not the least of which was the fact that your credentials were kind of stored directly in there. It was hard to kind of manage that. It wasn't very scalable, maybe not so secure. So we made it better with these API-based templates. And, you can see that now in this new release.
Yeah, I think these started as a way of regaining visibility sort of down to the mailbox level for Office 365, where somebody had, migrated off of an on-prem Exchange environment, for example. So I guess these were started in Thwack, and then they were curated by SolarWinds, and then now they've actually been productionized. And one of the things that you mentioned there is that you're saying that the credentials are now part of the encrypted credential store like any other resource, right?
Exactly. As anytime you're building one of these API-based pollers, you can put the credentials there. They're stored appropriately versus the old method of, having them just kind of sitting in the script component itself.
Okay, well, let's start with how about a map? I think that'd be a great way to visualize this. So walk us through what a typical application is where it's a composite combining a bunch of different monitoring techniques.
Sure. So yeah, let's take a look at this image we have here. It's a lovely image kind of built around that lovely Orion map stuff that we're talking so much about these days. But what you can see from this is that it's clearly centered on Azure in the middle here, and then you've kind of got the highways running north and south, east and west. If you follow any of those to their logical conclusion, you can see that this is truly hybrid. This is on-prem stuff connected to cloud stuff. The Azure AD is really focused heavily in that. If you look closely at some of the parts of this map, you'll see there's API pollers reflected, standard polling. So it's just a great way to take all of this new goodness in SAM and tie it together with one of the platform level things in Orion Maps.
What I really love about this too is it really does make those first-class citizens in terms of data, right? So in this case right here, right, you've got processes that are running in Azure that may be monitored through any number of different APIs. Azure itself, on-prem, and then the connectivity to it. But it looks like right on the right-hand side there, when you created this map, you just drag them over out of the catalog of available metrics, but they're just being provided by these API templates. Does that also work in PerfStack and AppStack?
Yeah, absolutely. These relationships are the basis of everything now. So you don't have to go create those manually or dream them up. They're just kind of there to, as you said, kind of in the toolbox, just grab them and drag them.
Okay, and the README file for SAM is going to actually go through step by step how to use those templates, right?
There's always documentation if you want it, Patrick.
Okay, good. Well, because we just don't have time to show it because there's so much else that we've got in this episode. All right, so next up, you're really excited about this, and I am, because it really is the beginning of hyperconverged visualization, right? And so that's going to be mapping for Nutanix.
That's right. We aim to do a better job of supporting mixed environments, and of course, Nutanix is big in that arena. When you've got not only hyper converged is, certainly a buzzword we could harp on there, but Nutanix is the first time where you start to see things kind of stacked on top of one another. Nutanix can host Hyper-V, it can host VMware, so we
it's
obviously
platform as a service.
That's right. And so we needed to, anybody who was with us for the previous release or has been with us for a while knows that we already had the Nutanix support in there, but only at the tech preview level. And this now coming up from 2020.2, we've gotten away from that tech preview mantle. This is fully supported. It's no longer tech preview realm. And, to kind of round that out, some of the things that we've added are things like storage views at the cluster and host and VM level. Didn't have those before. Now we've got CPU and memory and network usage at the cluster and VMware level. So a far more expanded view of what's going on inside the Nutanix environment. And of course, as you already alluded to, that means that it's all going to look very, very nice in a map. So maybe let's take a look at an example here.
And then you've got your Nutanix logo right there in the center, of course, with the copyright mark. But that's not just to indicate that this is a map. I mean, it's to visualize it, in this example. But this isn't some just monitoring that we're doing. This is actually because we're a technology partner with Nutanix. This is on their website.
That's right. There's a relationship there, and we're proud to be part of that.
Awesome. So talk to us about what you got here.
Well, it's just a very simple representation of a Nutanix environment, from everything from the clusters to the storage containers. The CVM is reflected there. Just really anything that you would expect to find in your Nutanix environment is right there at your fingertips. Again, it's a lot of it's going to be built for you, but anything that you think you might want to add, Orion Maps gives us that ability. Just reach in the tool tray and add the things that you need to add.
Right. So just like anything else, it's part of AppStack or PerfStack or one of the common other metrics or relationships. You may have things that are part of your application. It might be down to the OS level or traffic level or something else, or you want to have performance for a service. That's not something that Nutanix is aware of, but it's something that the Orion platform is aware of. So it allows you to combine those together and create that view of all the components of an application, even if some of them are essentially in your PaaS platform or in traditional infrastructure or even out in the cloud.
That's right. Yeah, you can kind of think of yourself as an artist, and you've got a palette of colors, and Orion is providing that palette of colors, so it doesn't have to be coming directly from Nutanix. I could add environments, that are related to it, but not necessarily directly. Like you said, Nutanix may not be aware of the things that are running on top of it, but you can certainly make the map reflect that reality.
Awesome. Okay, next up would be storage. This would be Storage Resource Monitor. More controllers, right?
That's right. We always try to, with each release, we strive to expand that portfolio of controllers that we not only support outright, but obviously there are times when we want to add a little more depth to that support. Maybe last time we didn't quite get to the level that the customers were looking for, so we continued that story. NetApp in 7 mode, you now have hardware health there, and with VNX Clarion, people were looking for a little more information, extended information about the controllers, so we've got that available as well. And actually, real quick here, let me just pull up a couple of images and we'll look at what that looks like. So here is that extended controller support. And here we have a NetApp in 7 mode that is reflecting hardware health, everything green.
Yep, there's all the details. And this is one of those things where every time we do a major release, it feels like we add a couple of more. And so at this point, in terms of controllers and arrays, there are now dozens, right?
Yeah, that's right. The list is very long and very comprehensive. Of course, we seek to increase that every time, but it's hard to find an array we don't support now.
Yeah, I think if you're a storage manager and you hear people talk about hybrid IT, you're like, storage has been hybrid for as long as they can remember, right? Okay, so the next one, another #1 feature request, has been upvoted for a really long time, and that is flat file monitoring for Windows servers.
That's right. Log Analyzer, we decided to add a new log source for you. So anyone who's been along for the ride knows we already had syslog and traps. And in recent releases, we added native support for Windows events and, of course, native support for VMware events. But this new log source, which is flat log files on Windows hosts, was very highly requested from customers. And basically what that means is you're going to be able to utilize the agent, the standard Orion agent that you're probably already using on a lot of those nodes anyway. This is just a plugin on top of that, and so it's going to go and get those flat log files, whether they're Apache or MySQL or maybe, hey, even Orion running on your Windows machine,
or a custom application that's spitting out some log.
That's right. And anything you could dream up that's running on that host that's spitting out a log app, or an application log, is going to certainly be valid for this. And it's the other part of it is we strove to make this easy. So basically in the log analyzer settings, there's a place now where you go and you build a profile, and it's simply a matter of give me the path to the log files, give me a wildcard if there's numerous log files there that you want to collect, and we basically do the rest of the work for you. You don't have to, traditionally doing this work would have required a PowerShell script or a Perl script on the SAM component monitor side. This makes it easier because you don't have to understand scripting, and it also makes it more real time. SAM is still going to be based on a polling interval, and not that that's bad, but oftentimes with log events, you want to be really
right, and it's going to be based on
and
it's going to be based on the amount of log data that's available. If there's nothing coming out in the log, it's not going to take up any time. I think what I really like about it, to your point there, is, I love to script, but this is going to make it a lot easier because then you don't have a script that's PowerShell or Perl or who knows what else. And then the other thing is, because it's using the agent framework, it'll also support client push as well. So if you have someone who maybe, I don't know, is remote, who normally would be on-prem, where you can't poll that agent, you can actually do client initiated to push that agent data out as well.
Yeah, that's right. It's anything that the Orion agent could already do is going to follow suit here. There's no twists or turns. It's the basic agent that you're used to, just now it can do log file ingestion for log analyzer.
All right, so last up, this one is a favorite. It's been requested a lot, and that is you've extended the recorder that's used for WPM, Web Performance Monitor, so that it can also save those recordings for playback on Pingdom.
That's right. So it's, many people have been telling us since we bought Pingdom, which has been many years now, that they'd love to see these two products come closer together. And so we're starting to take that path. We're going down that path. And this is step one. Basically, go into the recorder, create your recording, create your transaction. And when you're done, you have now a fork in the road that you can take. You can still save it to Orion, of course, but now you could also save it to Pingdom and run that transaction directly from Pingdom. So you can take advantage of the Pingdom infrastructure to run those, or you can save it to your traditional Orion infrastructure.
Do you have a screen we could look at?
I absolutely do. So here you can see the recorder interface. If you kind of glance to the upper right, you're going to see there that now, truly enough, there is an option to save to Pingdom. And here, I'm saving my recording to Pingdom. And here it is listed in a inventory of transactions running on Pingdom itself.
So that's the Pingdom interface, not the Orion interface.
That's right. That's the big thing here. Is this is your we've drilled all the way into the detail now, and this is our transaction that we recorded in the recorder running directly on Pingdom.
And the thing I love about that too is that you've got the option in that save dialog to either save it local. So maybe if you have change control or something else, you want to just have backups of it. You can save it directly into the Orion platform for WPM, or if you wanted to, you could even pull one that you're running internally, maybe load it up inside the editor and then push it to Pingdom as well. So you can move them between those two environments.
Yeah, that's right. The recorder is able to kind of act as the pivot point there. So you can pull something, you open the recorder, open something from Orion, edit it, do whatever you're going to do with it, and then decide, do I want to save this back to Orion, or do I want to now move this out to my Pingdom account?
All right. Well, James, thank you so much for taking time to be with us today and to go over all of these updates across the systems monitoring products.
No problem. It's my pleasure. And of course, if anyone has any other comments, questions, concerns, or otherwise, you know where to find me on Thwack.